In this material, you will get acquainted with the procedure of automatic tuning of the gas installation available in the tab Calibration Auto Setup. Shortcut F6. You can get there from the main page of the status program, F1, by pressing the button Automatic Tuning, F6. If you are interested in information, which we talk about at the KME Academy, we invite you to subscribe and enable notifications, so that you get information about the publication of the next part. Remember, hovering over individual options, you will find additional descriptions in the so-called speech bubbles. Auto Setup tab enables automatic configuration and calibration of the gas controller. The auto setup procedure should be performed at a reducer temperature greater than 50 degrees Celsius. Below this temperature, the program will display an appropriate message. It is also recommended to perform auto setup in stable engine operating conditions and without active systems. That may noticeably affect the injection time, such as fan air conditioning, seat steering wheel window heating. Also avoid turning the steering wheel and changing gears, especially in the automatic transmission. Before you start the auto setup procedure, set up the basic required parameters in the Parameters 1 tabs. Parameters 2. The Direct tab is intended only for cars with direct injection. Remember, it is recommended to enter the factory settings before starting the auto setup procedure. In the Parameters 1 tab you will find OBD block, only available for controllers with OBD module, i.e. KME NEVO SKY Jet OBD Jet Expert Max Direct controllers. The program, after pressing the Detect button, recognizes the CAN protocol itself and then allows you to connect to the OBD driver. The program also allows you to manually select the protocol and how to connect to the OBD module. Another block determines the characteristic features of the engine options, in which the gas controller has been installed, such as Hemi Eco, Turbo, Valvetronic or Start and Stop function. The next block allows you to choose the number of cylinders. Remember, using a cylinder breaker, you can make a diagnostic procedure of correctness of the gasoline injector's connection. The ignition sequence block allows you to detect the ignition sequence in the car. Remember, the correct ignition sequence is very important for the NEVO SKY Direct controllers. The last block allows you to assign individual channel cylinders to banks. Remember, for 2-bank engines it is necessary to assign cylinders to the correct banks. After pressing the next button, we go to the Parameters 2 tab. In this tab, we have the option of choosing the type of LPG or CNG gas fuel, selecting the control of mounted gas injectors, and how to connect the rotation cable. In the inspection block, you can set another inspection of the gas installation, about the fact that a review is necessary. The gas controller will inform you by a 10-fold audible signal when the gas installation switches to gas. Remember, the so-called zero-free inspection of the installation is carried out after 1,000 kilometers, another paid every 1,000 kilometers 1 year. Car and workshop details. Before performing the auto setup procedure, you must enter basic information about the vehicle, such as power, capacity, size of mounted nozzles, year of manufacture, and information about the workshop. Direct tab, designed only for cars with direct injection. This tab offers the possibility of choosing the type of emulation of gasoline injectors and determination of the triggering of gas injectors. In this tab, we also have the option of selecting the appropriate emulations. Using the in-out breaker tool, you can perform a diagnostic procedure for the correctness of connecting the high fuel pressure sensor in the block type of emulation of gasoline injectors. Find the car in the list of engines and select the car you are converting. If you don't find it in the list, select one of the standard emulations. Standard universal emulation, it is the most universal of emulation. Standard V2.0. Universal Emulation 2018. It is an emulation dedicated to engines produced after 2018. Standard Japan. Universal emulation developed for cars from Japanese manufacturers such as Mazda, Honda, Toyota. Standard Ford USA. Universal emulation dedicated to Ford flex fuel engines from the USA. After selecting a car from the list, Sky Expert System will suggest the required additional elements of the gas injection system. For the Mazda 2.0 Sky Active engine after 2016, an external EZP pump valve emulator is required. In the EZP12ARM version and the KME NEVO Sky Direct gas controller in the RL version. Next, the program will suggest the appropriate emulations developed for a given car. In this case, the recommended emulation on Channel 1, Emulation 1, is EZP emulation. Fuel pump valve emulation, Mazda 2.0 2.5 Sky Active 2016 for EZP12ARM emulator. You will also be informed about important information when using the EZP emulator. Remember, this emulation requires the connection of an additional external emulator. Remark: be sure to check that the consumption of gasoline is not too low, 0.8 L 100 km, when working on gas with EZP. Too low, 0.8 L 100 km gasoline consumption can damage gasoline injectors. On the last Start tab, you can choose which of the procedures will be performed during auto setup. Auto configuration. The procedure automatically sets the basic configuration parameters necessary for the proper operation of the system. Number of cylinders, source of rotation, type of injection system. Auto calibration. The procedure allows for the correct selection of the parameters of the gas controller and setting the initial gas dose when idling. Preparing the car for the road test, during which the settings are verified while driving. Auto calibration has two options. Offset, which depends on the type of gas injector. The parameter changes automatically when the appropriate gas injector is set. And all cylinders at the same time. This option performs calibration on all cylinders at the same time. This option is provided for full group engines. At the very bottom of the auto setup window is placed the recorder, which also works during the auto setup procedure. Its size can be changed by grabbing the cursor by the blue bar above the recorder. The settings of the displayed waveforms are the same as those of the main recorder. During the execution of individual stages of the auto setup procedure, a progress window is displayed with information about the current phase of the entire process. Auto setup may fail if it is found that nozzles that are fitted are too small or too large. In such a situation, the user will be notified by an appropriate message. After successful completion of the entire procedure, the user is informed about the need to check the settings on the road, using the message "Perform a ride in the selected rev range" to collect engine operating points when operating on petrol and gas. While driving, the model settings in the low and medium load range will be verified, and the necessary corrections will be made automatically. This process can be interrupted manually by clicking the Stop Auto Setup Results Verification button. If this episode was helpful to you, we invite you to subscribe and enable notifications so that you get information about the publication of the next part. In the next episode, we will tell you about the Model tab, Calibration Model tab. Greetings, KME Academy team.